Your Denver Broncos are absolutely not done making moves. We have another national media outlet just come out and give the Broncos a crazy amount of praise and actually are way more bullish on the Broncos than some people even in Broncos country who feel like we've just sat out of NFL free agency. And the Kansas City Chiefs just make a very strange move that we're going to talk about and what it means about Patrick Mahomes. That and way more in this video. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Broncos fan named Ben. Helps me in the argument out a ton if you like the Broncos. Would you smash that like and subscribe button and help me hit that 36,000 sub mark today? That would be absolutely wild. So what we are now hearing is that according to Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, that the Denver Broncos are not done exploring the tight end free agent market. The Broncos had been exploring getting Dallas Goedert, the tight end from the Philadelphia Eagles, who's really been plagued by injuries in his career there. And now they are turning their sights on David Njoku. Now, Albert Breer does not just throw things around. He's very, very well sourced. And he really points out the fact that Sean Payton, going all the way back to when he coached Dan Campbell as a tight end, Jeremy Shockey, you're talking Jimmy Graham, he has always had a great tight end. And he's expecting David Njoku to be a great fit here for the Denver Broncos and thinks that the Broncos would explore him. But his reporting conflicts a lot with what Luka Evans, our favorite Denver Broncos writer right now, the new Adam Schefter for Denver, is saying. Luka Evans talked to a bunch of sources inside of the Denver Broncos organization who reported out that the Broncos were very strict on their cap on what they were going to spend in NFL free agency. And so they had set a hard cap that they were not going to spend more than $10 million per year on a running back, which definitely puts you out of the reach of Travis Etienne, the running back from obviously the Jacksonville Jaguars, who is now with the New Orleans Saints, and it puts you way out of the ballpark for Kenneth Walker, who's making like $16 million per year with the Kansas City Chiefs. So what you're seeing here with, and then the tight end market that he's saying is the Broncos have a hard cap. They do not want to spend $6 million or more per year on the tight end position. And so a guy like David Njoku is expected to get a $10 million per year deal, which those things just do not line up. So if the Broncos have a $6 million hard cap on what they're going to spend on tight end, then you're not going to get David Njoku. And what it says to me, if the Broncos have these hard caps, is that Sean Payton cares way more about those compensatory picks than he does about overpaying for another team's refuse. And I think what we've just seen is like, I just still cannot believe that the Colts were traded away Michael Pittman for a 6th round draft pick to the Steelers. I cannot believe Jacoby Myers went for a late round draft pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so I think Sean Payton is playing this very well, that it'd be better to get those compensatory picks and now use the 4th round draft pick for John Franklin Myers, the 6th round draft pick for PJ Locke, be able to use that to improve the team anytime between now and the trade deadline. On top of that, I think one thing that we need to definitely pay attention to is Sean Payton spent a 7th round draft pick last year on the tallest tight end in the class, a former basketball player who hadn't even played like a full season with the Utah Utes, and that's Caleb Lohner. He did suited up for one game, but didn't actually dress. So like he was activated the night before, but didn't actually suit up. And this offseason, he's going to be training with a former NFL Pro Bowler in Donald Driver. And just do not be surprised. Like his development is going to be slow, but once he's ready, like he could be an absolute weapon. And then I think Evan Ingram, we're going to see a lot more out of him this season than we did last season, because I think that back injury he had in the Colts game was way more substantial than Sean Payton let on. He's always coy about injuries during the season. Like we didn't hear anything about J.K. Dobbins. Like he just strings you along and he cares about not revealing players' health. Obviously the Bo Nix thing aside at the end of the season. But I think we're going to see more out of Evan Ingram now playing for Davis Webb, who was his former play caller. But what does the rest of the NFL think about the Broncos sitting out of NFL free agency? Are they as down as some people are in Broncos country? Are they losing their ever-loving minds? Let's take a look here and see. So what we're scrolling through here is Bleacher Report goes through after NFL free agency. They're saying who are the 10 best teams in football. They put the Baltimore Ravens in at 11. Let's keep going. We got San Francisco 49ers. Are the Broncos even going to make this? We got the Los Angeles Chargers at 9, Texans at 8, another playoff team, Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions at 6, and we're going down Seattle Seahawks at 5, Philadelphia Eagles at 4. We must not be on this list. Buffalo Bills at 3, and then he has your Denver Broncos as the second best team in professional football. So obviously the national media is not falling for this trap that a lot of us in Broncos country are. I can tell you firsthand, as a creator, this is like an incredible time. I would love to be making new videos on new guys that we have, but as an actual Broncos fan, I'm telling you that what the Denver Broncos are doing here is very, very good thing, and you can tell that by this is Bleacher Report coming out and saying like, hey, this is the second best team in football because of that continuity that we're seeing. Luke Evans goes like even a step further from that and is talking about how unprecedented this is in NFL history to be where we are, that we have 94% of the guys who took a snap for us last season who are back for this season. And that just almost never, ever happens. And then I think he also talks about it right here, that going back from the past 10 years, the only time that you have seen anywhere close to this many players coming back from a championship game was when the Kansas City Chiefs brought back 83% of their guys in the 2019 season. So being at 94%, that is absolutely wild. And so last season when Sean Payton said this was one of the 6 teams that he's ever coached that he thought he could make a Super Bowl with, that proved to be right, even when everyone said he was dumb and said like, oh, you're just blowing smoke. Well, he was right. He was a Bo Nixon ankle injury and a J.K. Dobbins illegal hit and a blizzard away from being in the Super Bowl. And he's saying, run this back. And there's just a ton of reason to be bullish about this Denver Broncos team. And Bleacher Report agrees with that. And it really isn't even like we have just been sitting on our hands, that we've retained 13 really high quality players. And we've talked about them here ad nauseum: Dobbins, Singleton, Stranad, McMillan, all these guys that I've talked about. We restructured contracts. We've done a lot during this time. And again, by doing this, we're getting compensatory picks that we have seen firsthand have the ability to transform a team once injuries crop up during training camp, or you see the holes this team has during the preseason. Sean Payton's going to have the ammo to be able to improve this team from now on, right? The Raiders can't really do anything from now until the end of the season because they've spent their entire cap. The Broncos have a ton of picks now that they can do stuff with to improve this team. And you're even seeing here the Jacksonville Jaguars reporter is talking about how just the addition of Jacoby Myers, who was acquired for like a 5th or 6th round draft pick from the Raiders, was able to make Trevor Lawrence an MVP candidate. Here were his numbers before they went out and made that move, that he had a 79 passer rating. And after they got Jacoby Myers, it was 103 passer rating. And so there are a lot of things that could happen here as we're taking a look at, if the Cardinals are horrible, could the Broncos trade for Marvin Harrison? There's going to be other players who are on contract years who are going to be out of the playoff hunt almost immediately. And it's going to be clearly evident. And Sean Payton's going to be able to pounce on that. And it could even happen before then. And then, other reasons to be bullish. It's just every single time I see an NFL creator just put out one of these advanced analytics, I'm like, yes, this is why how we have built this team is smart. That Nick Bonito has one of the highest quarterback pressure ratings since 2023. And he's in conversations with guys who are league defensive players of the year and in the running for league MVP. And everybody just gushes about guys like Micah Parsons and Will Anderson. Trey Hendrickson just got a huge bag, and Nick Bonito is right there with him, and he's getting paid less than Myles Garrett and Will Anderson and Micah Parsons by a significant mark. And just seeing Trey Hendrickson just getting a huge deal, $112 million deal. The Denver Broncos 2 years ago went out of their way and signed him to a much smaller deal. So how the Broncos have built this thing is just a very, very good thing. Then other good news that we got today is that the Kansas City Chiefs traded for a starting quarterback in professional football named Justin Fields. Good on a number of measures. First reason this is good is that it is a sign to me that Patrick Mahomes might not be ready to come back, or you wouldn't be trying to trade for a starting quarterback, even though Justin Fields isn't that good. Other reason it's good is that it just shows that he's not going to be making that difference for the Chiefs when he's playing. And so I like the fact that the Chiefs are going to have to play with Justin Fields for a couple of years. And then it's really just evidence that, like, one of the reasons we're in such great shape here is look at all these former first-round quarterbacks who are complete busts and have been released from their team or aren't in the league or have been traded multiple times. And we have Bo Chapman-Nix, who's going to be our quarterback for the next decade, and that's just something to be wildly hyped about. Another reason to be wildly hyped about this draft is that you're seeing multiple evaluators of talent who I really trust, who are just saying that this tight end class is one of the deepest that they have ever seen. So Dan Brugler writes for The Athletic and is a very accurate mock drafter and evaluator of talent. I went through and looked at some of his hit rates on some of these guys he's done evaluations on, and like everybody else, he has some misses, but he's saying he's been looking at the tight end class and he still has not found a bottom for it, meaning he was saying you can find guys like day 3, you can find starting tight ends in football. So even more evidence that if our number truly is $6 million for what we're willing to pay a tight end, we'll be able to find a tight end in the NFL draft if it's that deep. Seeing some ratings here that Eli Stowers, who they're predicting to fall all the way to day 2 at the earliest, and maybe even day 3, saying that he's got elite upside in his grading of him, and just pulling up some highlights of what this dude and Jan Sadiq. So tons to be extremely, extremely hyped for there. And then other really interesting thing that I thought was definitely worth paying attention to here was I saw a tweet. I must have closed it, but it was a tweet showing players who were the worst at getting open in the NFL last season. And number 3 on that list was Alec Pierce, the most sought after free agent in this year's NFL free agent class for wide receivers. And so, yes, Sean Payton didn't go out and get any additional talent, but when the best wide receiver in the free agent class is the 3rd worst at getting open in the NFL, it tells you everything you need to know about what the Broncos and really what the NFL thought of this year's NFL free agent class. So do not lose hope, because Bleacher Report can't believe in your team more than you do. So pick your chins up, Broncos country, because we got a ton to believe in. Woo! I'm back. Somebody said if I hit 5 in a row, they'd sub. So let's count that one for 5, please.